All right, today I'm going to talk about what I learned from auditioning for The Voice. About 10 years ago, roughly, I think it was 2014, I went and I tried out for The Voice in Chicago, Illinois. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Mark commented in a video I did the other day for my Cry Lonely cover song. And he said, "Hey, man, you should try out for The Voice or AGT." AGT, America's Got Talent, which I actually did audition for that in a video, and I'll put that in the show notes. It's a long time ago. I got a lot more hair up here and a lot less hair here, so you can go check that out. I'll put it in there. Um, but yeah, so I've done them both. The Voice I actually tried out in person. So I went to Chicago, Illinois. It was colder than hell out. I remember it was in February, and it was in Chicago, and it was on the Navy Pier, so it was like right off, Lake Michigan. Which, I mean, it was cold down there. And I remember the crazy thing is there was people that were flying in from like southern states. Like I remember this one gal, she flew in from Georgia, and this had been her second audition. She was basically just hopping from city to city to try to make the cut, and she really underestimated how cold it was. She was wearing basically like a mini skirt and top. I mean, she's dressed like a performer would, just very scantily dressed. And we had to wait outside for a very long time in a very long line. So yeah, there was a lot of people like that. And I'm from Minnesota, so I'm like, I at least know, like we should be wearing a jacket, have a pair of gloves, maybe a hat, that kind of thing. So I was prepared, but I was just kind of surprised by some of the southern people that didn't really know what to expect. So that was kind of an interesting situation or an observation that I had. Eventually, we made our way into a building, and just as you went through the process, they kind of just filtered you down, and we ended up in a room. And this is over a couple hours. It wasn't as long as I was expecting. I know I've seen videos where people were like on different uh, types of shows like this, where they were like literally waiting around all day to get to get their audition. This wasn't like this. This seemed like a little bit more organized, but it was over the course of a couple hours. You're always in a line, and they just kind of keep filtering down. And eventually, they had it was in a convention center, so they just had people slowly kind of strung out over. I don't know. There was just a big long corridor, and each there was a bunch of different rooms that you would go into. So they would break you down, and I think it was groups of, I think it was 12 or 10. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, 10 years, but it was about 10 or 12 people. And they grouped us up, and then they walked us into a room. And then when you walked into this room, it was, there was in my case, there was a lady at like a folding table at the front with like with an iMac computer or whatever, like a MacBook or something like that. And then on either side, there was a place that you would stand in the middle, and then they had like 5 or 6 folding chairs on either side lined up, and we just kind of filed in and went into a particular row, sat down, and then she just kind of told us what was going to happen. She's like, you know what, you've got 90 seconds. Start at the best part of the song, whatever song you're going to sing, start at the best place, the most impactful part of the song. And so that's what's going to happen. I'm going to call your name. You're going to get up. You're going to sing that. And then if I tell you to stop, just stop, and then just return to your seat. And that's what happened. So like slowly, she just kind of went through, every person, and, we all had our chance. And it was just kind of an interesting dynamic, because like there were some people in there that were just awesome. Like the guy I was telling you that was from Georgia, that was up there with the mini skirt and freezing her butt off all morning. She crushed it. I mean, she had just like a super powerful voice. We're talking like it's very soulful. And she just crushed it. So I'm like, wow, that was awesome. My audition, I felt pretty good about it. But I wasn't sure about like the gal that was up front. I'm like, man, I don't know if I chose the right song for this setting. So I did Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. And, I don't know. I felt like if I could do it over again, maybe I needed something a little more contemporary, like a little something a little newer to kind of catch her eye, because she was a younger gal, and I don't know. It just, maybe I just didn't pick the right song. And there were a couple other people that in there that were just phenomenal as well. And then there were some people that were like not very good at all. And that's kind of what kind of threw me off as far as like, wanting to do more of these talent shows, because it's just like I sat there and there was one gal, a little more heavy set, trying to be nice here. I don't want to be, I don't want to be negative or derogatory or anything like that. But she just, her voice just was not very good at all. And it was just like, okay, well, there's no way she's getting anywhere. But everything, everybody went through their audition, and then at the end, the gal at the front called up two people. First, she called up the gal that crushed it in the mini skirt that was freezing her butt off outside. She made it to the next cut, and then they called the gal that was like not very good at all. I mean, you could even hear her. She was just like, like, I don't even know, but it was just like, but everybody like in the room just kind of looked at each other like, what the hell? Like, how? Why? Huh? Like, everybody was like super perplexed by this whole situation. Like, how did she go? I mean, because there was plenty of people in that room that were much better than her. So that was kind of a buzzkill, right? It's one thing to, not get, to advance to somebody that was as great as the first singer, but then that other one, it's like, what? So then it just kind of felt like a kind of scammy, or it felt, here we go, this whole gatekeeper thing. So I guess that was like my big takeaway as far as these shows go. And I'm like, plenty of examples of people out there that have made it further and further. And, and I'm not the greatest singer, but then I'm not like as bad as some of the people that were in there, and as bad as some of the people that I think I've seen on shows since then. So I guess to me, it just kind of felt like a waste of time, and it felt a little bit more of a lottery ticket. And as far as waste of time, I don't want to say like, I mean, it was a great experience. I went with my son and my wife. My son was young at the time, and we stayed in a nice hotel when we were there, and it was a really fun experience for him. It was a fun experience for myself and my wife, just because we kind of went and hung out in Chicago for the weekend, so that was like super fun. So it was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it. But just as far as like going and standing in line and waiting in line and hoping to be chosen, I just feel like I said, it felt like a lottery ticket. It's just something I don't think I'm going to pursue in the future. Never say never. I never want to say never, but I just don't feel like it is the best use of my time. I just think that my time and energy is best spent just kind of trying to figure out how to get exposure for myself, and how to get in front of people that actually like what I do, and like appreciate it, and just going straight to the source, rather than just hoping that I'm going to get the lottery ticket, I'm going to end up in front of millions of people on TV. I'll just try to build it one by one hopefully with like people like you that want to listen to my stuff, and yeah, and have relationships that way. So anyway, that is my audition for The Voice experience. Let me know if you've ever tried out for any talent shows, or anything similar, like for your career, or maybe it was a particular show. I'd love to hear your stories. um yeah, and your takeaways and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below.